What's going on, guys? This is Hit You Good, your favorite all-American freedom-loving gamer, and today we're talking about something a little more serious, and it is the Roe v. Wade opinion posted by Driftor. Driftor, I appreciate you talking about things that actually matter. I think our intros are a lot the same here because I've heard like the first 10 or 15 seconds of the video, but just because we're gamers doesn't mean that we stereotypically just shut out the rest of the world. We talk about things that matter. We pay attention to our surroundings because life matters. This is a very, very important issue. I have heard you put out a lot of interesting opinions, on BLM and certain other things, the buyout of Activision. And as I can see, I do believe that you're pretty centrist, and I do think that you give everybody a fair shake, and I do want to applaud that. I do understand that, you do so probably to the detriment of your YouTube channel because it messes up the algorithm. I think I do the same thing because I post gaming stuff and I post political stuff. But hopefully one day I'll have a channel as big as you and it may not affect me quite as much. So I do appreciate you coming out and talking about real things because they actually matter. We're going to go through this. Obviously, if you know me, I am very, very pro-life. I'm very conservative. I honestly believe that all life is precious. No matter how it's conceived, it is precious. I believe that a society that does not view life as precious in the womb will also devalue life outside of the womb. And that leads to much higher crime rates. That leads to murders. That leads to people not caring about life. It sets up that precedence, I believe, that to take another life is not a big deal. And from the left, it's not a big deal. A lot of them want late-term abortions up to 9 months. From hearing you before, I don't believe that's what this video is going to say. You're usually really well balanced, and sometimes I wish you took some harder takes so I could have a little starker contrast. But we're here to have a righteous, a well-received, and well-balanced discussion about this. So we're going to hear what you got to say.
Hey guys, Drifter here. Unfortunately, today, instead of playing Fortune's Keep or doing any fun Call of Duty stuff, we have to put on our big boy pants and talk about the big news, which is Roe v. Wade being overturned, which means a lack of access to abortion and abortion rights to a lot of women in the United States. And I promise you, I swear to God, I didn't want to do politics today. I had all these gaming videos planned. I know I've been doing these personal ones and these sort of Simpsons meme, old man yells at clouds kind of moments. Looking at my board over here, I had a video on teamfight tactics. I was working on a script or outline about AI deepfakes and a fun one about mobile gaming. Even had a product review. But this just kind of takes precedence because it's very important. We've changed our legal precedence for that matter. A little pun intended right there. And it will ultimately affect all of us. So, as many of you know, Roe versus Wade has been overturned by the Supreme Court, and the manner in which they did so doesn't immediately make abortion illegal everywhere in the United States. It simply allows individual states to make their own decisions regarding that topic.
I appreciate him saying that because so many people are just up in arms. As a matter of fact, you've got pro-life pregnancy centers and all of these democratic states are being burned to the ground, even though the law hasn't changed one bit. So thank you for letting people know that so they can chill out just a little bit.
Well, the states are deeply ideologically divided, so states like California will have access, and states like Texas, it'll be mostly illegal, at least partially restricted, right? And this is a rights issue for women. It's a body autonomy issue. It's a public health issue. Honestly, even for some people, it's a survival issue because I'm going to talk about something that's very uncomfortable that I didn't really want to get into yet until I got all the details. But as many of you know, I'm going through some health crises lately and my body's not in the best of conditions. And as a part of all of that, I did some genetic testing and I only have 1 or 2 genes active that actively affect my health, but I'm a carrier for like a lot of stuff. Not a little bit, not it might happen, but like, holy crap, I'm lucky that I didn't get any of these genes. I have a lot of like nightmare level recessive genes that no child should ever be born with. So I learned that about a month or so ago, and it wasn't the biggest deal. But abortion has almost immediately been restricted here in Texas, so I worry that should my wife become pregnant, And should I be unfortunate, or even probably really 50-50 odds with the way my genes are made, that the child may not be viable or may not have a good, reasonable quality of life. I carry some really horrible things in my body. So if
I will say this, Drifter. Of course, you've got a lot of options to prevent said pregnancy. As far as contraceptives, condoms, stuff like that, you do have a lot of options for preventing that. But even if those fail, a very, very, very slight chance that they did, your child would still be precious. Their life would still be precious. And I don't think that you don't think that, but I just want to remind you, and anybody out there who has a similar situation, the child of that life is every bit as precious.
If mistakes were made, that option is no longer available to me, or to her, probably much more important to her than to me. And since I'm in the state of Texas, I can get in trouble even if we go out of state for those kind of services. I think that they have like a sort of like your neighbors can narc you out and get cash rewards, or they definitely get cash rewards for narking out doctors that perform this illegally.
Now, if it's doctors that perform it illegally in the state of Texas, yes, those doctors could go to jail. But if you go out of the state, I don't think it matters where you live. If you drive across the state line and it's legal in that state, your state doesn't have jurisdiction, so that couldn't happen. And by the way, there's a lot of misinformation coming from the left that's meant to scare people. They're saying that they're coming for contraceptives. There is nobody. I'm deep into politics. I work in politics. And I've never heard one conservative or Republican come out against contraceptives. That's odd.
So for the first time in a very long time, an issue like this has hit close to home. If something fails, if something goes wrong, my wife and I might be faced with a horrible decision of, should we allow an extremely deformed baby to be born? And that leads into other things as well, because in the ruling about Roe versus Wade, Justice Thomas, if I'm not mistaken, talked about reevaluating almost all unenumerated rights and listed a variety of cases that I'm not going to go into the legal precepts for. But essentially, it's the right to purchase contraceptives, more specifically for married people to purchase contraceptives, a number of same-sex marriage laws, and I think one of them that related to sodomy laws and same-sex pairing. It's sort of a Fifth Amendment, like, is it legal to search, like, can you prove people are gay kind of thing to be punished.
In which case, nobody should care what you're doing in your bedroom as long as you are not infringing on the rights of another. Matter of fact, I want to put that in there. Government is here. Government's entire existence is for the protection of each other's rights and making sure that everyone's rights are protected. That's it. That should be the only reason that the government exists. Of course, they overstep those bounds by leaps and bounds all the time because they think they can do things better in the private sector. But I don't want to go on a ramble about that.
So that if those were rolled back, it would again be up to the individual states to pass their own regulations. And here in the state of Texas and many southern states, they're very much so against things like contraceptives. So sometime in the next, I don't know, we'll say generously 5 years, I could be living in a state where contraceptives are restricted or perhaps not legal, and I could have a genetic makeup such that having a child with my partner is risky, perhaps, and I don't have any other options should the risk go wrong.
Once again, the only place that I have ever heard that Republicans are coming for your contraceptives or that there's any interest in that is from the far left. Of course, they do this because they want to gin up fear. They want to gin up people to turn out to the polls, even though it's a lie that they're coming, that Republicans are coming for your contraceptives. They want full access. Now, not that Drifter wants this. I want to make that clear. That separation. They want full access to full-term abortion up to 9 months for any reason whatever, because it's a woman's right to end another being's life, when in fact it's not. This lie about contraceptives is just it's fallacy. Like I said, the only place I've ever heard it is from the left.
So it really hits home and it really affects me, and I think it's going.
But that being said, I understand why you're concerned about it.
to affect a lot of people. I'm sitting over here complaining about my male problems. I think a lot of women are going to be facing horrible decisions. Not every state will have exceptions for rape, incest, for extremely deformed babies. I think it was Missouri that was trying to pass a law that required ectopic pregnancies to continue, or ectopic pregnancies, which are like 99% fatal. So you can force women to either die giving birth or to get a street abortion and then go to jail, because that'll be a felony. And I think at the end of the day, I mean, it'll even force people to like get raped by their father or brother or whatever to have the incest babies. Or it could be something insane like an escaped convict breaks out of jail and rapes somebody's 13-year-old daughter, and if she gets pregnant, some states would probably require her to give birth to the baby and take care of it, or pay child support if the father takes it for whatever bizarre reason. There's a lot of crazy things going on in the world.
And I've got this pulled up on my phone. An ectopic pregnancy, not an abortion. I've heard of miscarriages, not abortion. Septic uterus, that's where the baby does not grow in the womb; it actually grows. And listen, I'm not a doctor, but it's where they grow in the tubes of the uterus. And eventually the baby gets so big that it could burst those tubes. But the thing is that baby, it's not an abortion; it's a tragedy. It's an awful tragedy. So you have to remove that in order to save the life of the mother. Those things are not considered abortions, or should they be considered abortion? It would be absolutely insane for anybody to think otherwise, because you're not snuffing out a potential life. It's a life that's not going to make it. It's just not. If it's born in those tubes, it's not going to make it. It can't live there. It can't develop there. So those are not considered abortion. And a lot of times the left will say that they are, in order to pin fear up in people, drive them out to the polls so they can retain power, and once again keep pushing the narrative of Republicans just being all.
And I know a lot of you are probably getting ready to crap on me right now and call me a baby killer.
No.
And you guys just love killing babies. It's not like that. I actually don't butt heads with a lot of people on this, because I do consider fetuses important and life important and babies important. But things like
Absolutely.
These absolute hard black and white rules don't apply to really real reality very well. The really real world is full of
I would disagree with that.
areas. I've had this happen in my family.
The black and white is either all life is precious, or that's the black and white. But I do understand where he's coming from, and the thing is government has always stepped in to offer a solution. And the solution here is murder. The solution here is killing. But there's so many other solutions that women and families can take advantage of, and some solutions that are no longer there because the government has stepped in. They have secularized our schools. They have taken religion and morality out of the schools, out of the classroom. And ever since that happened, I've got all the numbers to back it up. And a lot of people click off here as soon as they hear me say that, because separation of church and state. But as soon as they took religion and morality out of schools, out of wedlock births, skyrocket. STDs, skyrocket. Crime, skyrocketed. Immoral living, skyrocketed. I've got all the data from third-party sources to back those claims up. And because government stepped in and 9 unelected judges, 1,000 miles away from a certain school district, said that they can't teach such and such there. By removing religion and morality from the teaching of our children, more rapes are going to happen. Now, you're never going to get rid of all of it. More incest is going to happen. More crime is going to happen, because people don't know why they should be good, and they don't know the benefits of not doing evil. And I know he's probably about to tell a story regarding that, which are awful. They're tragedy. But there's always a solution that does not involve murder. And I imagine Driftor can be open to that. He's already said that he does appreciate life.
I will keep the details very scant, but in my family in the past, there have been rape and incest pregnancies. There was one pregnancy from somebody that was related to organized crime that really didn't want their mistress to give birth to a child, because that's a whole different legal problem. And this is in the past. Abortions were less legal, so they had to choose street abortions, which were expensive and dangerous. And the really real world doesn't match up to these black and white sort of dynamics. On top of things like that, you have the Freakonomics study.
Now they say, street abortions are dangerous. It doesn't matter if it's a street or in a clinic, the baby will die.
That indicates that unwanted children are the primary drivers of crime because they're not going to be taken care of. And you would say, well, the parents should take care of their children. We should make them. And that's great. And I agree. I think parents should be a million times more responsible for their children.
Yep.
But that's just not reality. They're not going to be. People are going to keep being crummy until the end of time. And a part of me,
Yep.
we're
And
going
you're
off
right.
into
Absolutely.
conspiracy theory land here. I'm not even doing the presenter voice,
Now, before we go into that, as far as like I said, we need to be a more virtuous society. And I know Drifter's point, like you can't force that, you can't legislate it, nor should you. But we should allow parents the right, their education, to be able to where their child goes to school. If you want to send your kid to an atheist school, great. If you want to send your kid to a Christian school or a Buddhist school or a Scientology school, great. That's your choice. That should be your choice. But government takes all those choices away, and now you're left with either taking the kid or killing the kid. And that's just the black and white of it. But we'll go on with the back us up just a little bit and hear his.
Yeah, we're going off into
theory.
conspiracy theory land here. I'm not even doing the presenter voice, the kind of stuff. We're just sort of normal speaking today. Part of me wonders if this is some sort of bizarre plan for population control. A lot of millennials and young people in the United States are choosing not to have children, mostly for fear of environmental issues or simple financial struggles. I mean, a lot of people have outrageous amounts of debt. They can't afford to live. There's no job security, no retirement. Children are very expensive.
Also government's fault.
As a nation, we're not reproducing that much. I think we might be right, just barely at replacement rate. And as a racist version of this theory, there's the white replacement theory, because you know that a lot of the Spanish cultures that are moving in and Asians and stuff are having a lot more kids than the white people here. And a part of me wonders if this is some sort of bizarre conspiracy to force young millennials to just have more children and get the population growing again and be economically competitive and on par with China and some of this kind of stuff.
Now I'm not going to knock you for like venturing into conspiracy theories, because if there's anything that 2020, 2021, and this year have proven to us is a lot of these conspiracy theories end up being true. So I'm not going to knock you for that. But I did have a quote that was already pulled up from Margaret Sanger. I don't think this is. I would think that having abortion so prevalent, especially African American societies, is for population control. And go over here. The quote reads from Margaret Sanger. She is the creator of Planned Parenthood. We do not want word to go out that we want to exterminate the Negro population. Sanger, a feminist and reproductive rights activist, opened the first birth control clinic in Brownsville, Brooklyn in 1916, giving access to low-income and minority women. Started the Negro Project in 1930. That doesn't even sound. That's not even good to say. Golly. With the aim of expanding birth control services for black community in the South, according to the New York University Project document Sanger's writings. Quote is real and appears in December 10th, 1939, to a program director advocating employing black physicians and ministers to gain trust of the communities the program was meant to serve. So yeah, I mean, she was actually quoted in saying we need to set leaders up in the community. Well, here, it says right here, the minister's work is also important, and he should be trained, black ministers in the community, and he should be trained perhaps by the Federation as to our ideals and the goal to that which we hope to reach. We do not want word to go out that we want to exterminate the Negro population, and the minister is the man who can straighten out that idea if it ever occurs to any of their more rebellious members. That's totally not racist, guys. I mean, she's a leftist, and, Barack Obama, praised her. Hillary Clinton praised her, so she's got to be perfect, right? Wrong. Not perfect. She's actually the opposite of perfect. Actually an awful, genocidal racist. But nobody looks at that. They always look to wanting the easy way out for mistakes they could have made. There were mistakes they did make. And it's nuts to see the government stepping in and taking the sting away from bad choices. Because ultimately, what we would want to have happen, and what I think will happen, it'll take a generation for it to do it. But if natural law plays out as it always does, the people who now have to raise children, there's going to be more children who are being born, and the single mothers who have to raise those children, as they go through the responsibilities of motherhood. And there's so many people that I've heard who have had just wonderful blessings of going through parenthood, even though it was so hard, it was so difficult. You know, we've got a wonderful pregnancy center here in my hometown, and they do a fantastic job. They nurture, they inform, they educate scared young mothers. They witness to them, and because of the work they do, those children grow up as productive members of society, and the women are so much happier about it, you know, as opposed to going to a government-funded organization. And by the way, I'm not like saying this is a direct rebuttal to Drifter. I know he doesn't think a lot of this stuff, but just talking. Instead of going to a government organization such as Planned Parenthood that sells them on an abortion, if you haven't watched the movie Unplanned, you need to. They have quotas that they need to make, and they very forcibly push abortion as the only answer to young women. They don't offer them any kind of counseling, and as soon as the young woman is done with her abortion, they kick her out to the curb, and it leads to a lot of guilt. It leads to a lot of possibly mental problems for that. And I'll give you an example. CNN, I was watching Crowder, and they've got this woman who comes up on there, and she talks a little bit about a friend who was going to get an abortion, but she didn't.
Is going to take the 2-hour drive to our nearest abortion facility. The night before, she had actually filled up her tires with air just to make sure that it was all good. She could make the drive, and she woke up in the morning. She called me while I was in class, and I said, I have to answer, obviously. And she said, she's crying. And she was like, I didn't go. And I was like, you didn't go? And she goes, no, the air in my tire was flat. My tire was flat this morning when I went to leave. Like, I feel like this is my sign to keep this child. And she has gone, you know, she has taken her circumstances and just achieved so much. Not only is she an amazing mother to a soon-to-be 3-year-old beautiful little boy, but she is now living in her own place. She's starting school. She has a great job, and she did it. I want women to know, I want everyone to know that women are stronger than their circumstances. And no matter what situation that you find yourself in, the post-Roe generation, the pro-life generation is here to say, you can. Abortion tells women you can't. You can't go to college. Yep. You can't achieve your dreams. You have to have the right to end the life of your child so that you can live your dream. And I think that's misogyny. I think that is
wonderful.
Disgusting.
Beautiful
and I
message.
think that we're better than that in
Get her off the
2022.
air.
And clearly,
yeah.
that,
she's not going to ask a follow-up. Watch.
No. Savannah Craven, I appreciate your time.
There you go. We saw her ask a follow-up to the California broad who was dumb as a bag of hammers, and then this lady starts getting on a roll. She's like, oh my God, I can't say anything because she's black.
Cut the feed.
Caduce is like, no.
But my main point here is there is, you know, we've gone to government so much to answer all of our problems when they are the source of all of our problems, and now they've served this up on a plate of here is the answer to the problem. It's getting out of this sticky situation by killing your child, and then we're not offering you kind of counseling, kicking you to the curb, deal with whatever guilt you have over murdering your own baby, even though we pushed you to do it, which is absolutely wrong. So. Get back to
I don't even know what I'm saying. I'm just kind of rambling at this
Me too,
point.
bro. Me too.
And what really worries me is I feel that this mess is just starting. Like this today was a paperwork thing, but the consequences and effects of this will be felt for the next 30, 40, 50 years. And as I mentioned before, contraceptives, same-sex marriage, sodomy laws, and honestly, God knows what else is on the chopping block. I feel like the real problems are yet to begin, and this could unfortunately get crazier. I've been a little bit black pill lately, guys, honestly. I feel like I'm living in a world without compromise. I feel like I'm living in a country that's just trying its best to eat itself whole in a world that's going crazy, and I'm trying to make the best sense of it, and this just kind of kicked me in the gut. It really hit home, you know, after getting those test results and talking to my wife that, you know, if we ever get pregnant, we're going to have to do these tests, and we're going to have to make sure the baby's okay. and probably even test her before we'd even try something like that. And now, if today I make a mistake and she gets pregnant, it could be just a total disaster. It could be anything. So,
I
yeah,
understand.
That's me. I'm a little bit stressed. I'm a little bit
your
worried
fear
about the
over
future.
this.
And I know that this isn't a fun or pleasant
A lot of
topic.
fear has
I know
been
a lot
ginned
of
up
you
for
look
the
to me
left
for
that
entertainment,
simply
for gaming
shouldn't
news.
exist.
There is some of you that enjoy the philosophy and the politics and the opinions. And
Absolutely,
things like
man.
that.
You should keep doing it.
But I'm very well aware that a video like this will offend roughly half of the audience, and I'm
He keeps worrying about like offending half. There's no like anybody that's pro-life could not look at this guy who is a true Christian and is pro-life could look at this guy's plight and like be, oh, you're a baby murderer, bro. The only thing that you're offending is probably YouTube's
aware
algorithm.
that
You know,
making
that's it.
content like this ultimately hurts my channel. I lose subscribers, I lose money, I lose ad revenue. It hurts me in the rankings.
And yet you're
It
still
sort of
talking
outs
about
me
it, which
to,
is what is
have
so
to
good.
appeal to a
Because
certain audience, I
we
suppose.
need that conversation.
And I'm not sitting here making these videos to virtue signal to all of you, to be a
Obviously,
crybaby
yeah.
about, you know, the things I want in the world, or to get my little cool participation ribbon that I did the thing and shared the hashtag. These are real problems in a really real world, and I don't know where it's going. I don't think it's good. I feel relatively helpless to do anything about it, so I'm just gonna ride this out and try to affect what positive change I can with my limited influence on YouTube, and basically the only thing I'm able to do, which is to talk to you guys. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and even if you don't agree with my opinions, I hope that you can at least respect them, because I do think about these things a lot, and I try to have well-rounded opinions. So
That's apparent.
if by some miracle you enjoyed this somewhat grim video, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.
Yeah, I'll make sure to give it. Hope you don't mind. Hope you don't mind if I maybe put her down there. Comment section. I don't know. Maybe. Not to promote my own stuff. I just want you to see it. Drifter, I do believe that a lot of your concerns are very real, and they are well grounded, and I understand your plight. I would encourage you, and if you've got any evidence or anything, people bringing up anything about us wanting to get rid of contraceptives, I'd like to see it, and I speak on behalf of a very, very vast majority of Republican conservatives. I don't really call myself Republican, but a conservative that believe that should have access to contraceptives. I think the only time that I could even conceive that conservatives didn't want access to contraceptives is if they're paid for by taxpayer dollars, and because I think that breaks natural law. You're taking from one person, you're giving to another. That's wrong, and you're reallocating those funds to another person. And also giving them out to like 6th graders, 5th graders, or something awful like that. Kids don't be exposed to the ideas of that. That's up to not up to government. It's up to but hopefully, once again, what I hope will come out of this is a generation of people who, you know what, they grow up, they make mistakes, they have some hard times, but it's also up to us. I started really donating to my local pregnancy center because they're going to be under a lot more stress once this happens, but they're also going to be able to help a lot more. And if you go to church, you need to tithe. You need to tithe to a church that is going to accept young mothers in, not judging them, not passing judgment, not regarding them as lesser than. You need to find a church that's going to go and make a real difference. You need to donate to that church. You need to be a part of that change, and you need to nurture people who are having a very hard time. Maybe they made a mistake. Maybe they got raped. Maybe it's a case of incest. Those are very, very, very small piece of the pie overall, but most of the time it's just people make mistakes. Maybe they didn't grow up Christian home, or they weren't taught the values, why to do good and why not to do bad. But hopefully once that generation goes through those hard times, they can teach the next generation about individual responsibility. They can teach them that government is not the end all be all. It's not the solution to everything. The individual responsibility. And I hope that anybody watching this, can take something from it. I know, hey, I'm a white male talking about women's reproductive rights, and I had somebody on Facebook who actually changed their mind. They watched the movie Unplanned, and they've like totally reversed what they were thinking. They thank bringing it back to the roots, really a blessing. You know, the fact is, North is still North. It doesn't matter what gender you are. If you're speaking truth, truth is truth. As a matter of fact, the Supreme Court that voted in Roe v. Wade was male. And now the Supreme Court that took Roe v. Wade and struck it down is the most diverse group of judges that we have ever had on the court. So you can't just say, oh, well, we're going to agree with men, they agree with us, and then when they disagree with us, well, they don't have an opinion. You know, we can't pick and choose stuff like that. We need to stop with the identity politics, separation, division, and start looking for truth, because truth is not bound to a circumstance. It's not bound to a generation. It's not bound to a person. Truth, that's the thing that we always be in pursuit of. And that's why I appreciate you. That's why I appreciate you, Drifter, because I really do think that you're looking for truth. I don't always agree with everything you say, and I think there's some things that I know that you don't. There's some things that you know that I don't. That's why it's so good to have this conversation. We're sitting on 30 minutes here, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you, brother, for starting the conversation. That's what matters. We see conservatives who are being shut down every day on Twitter, on Facebook, on social media. People are being canceled, but you know, you're allowing a conversation on your platform, and that's what we need. As long as we can have that conversation, I think it's going to go in the right direction. But anyways, guys, thank you so much. Please like and subscribe to your favorite all-American freedom-loving gamer. Happy gaming. God bless. Good out.